announced the travel ban. I know some things have come out like since then that, there wasn't really a travel ban, but from the moment he said it, it set off a powder keg. It was crazy. So let's rewind it. I was traveling Europe. I was specifically in Spain when all this happened. So it was 8 o'clock here in Memphis. He announced that there's going to be no more travel between Europe and the States. We've got until the Friday night at midnight, which was like a little bit over 48 hours that we had. So where I was at, I was staying in a hostel in Barcelona, and my little brother called me. He called me until I woke up. I woke up at 2 in the morning, their time. He told me, hey, you got to get up, you got to go, you got to get your stuff together, because you got to get back. The day before, Caleb called me and woke me up to get me to come home. Spain was already shutting down all venues over 1,000 people. Now, in the back of my head, I was like, red flag, red alert, something's happening. But I was trying to be calm, be conscious, say, no, everything's going to be fine. Like I even told my brother, I was like, hey, I should be good. I'll be back home in, I think, 7 days at that point. Like within 7 days, I'll be back home already. It shouldn't get this, now this is what I said. It shouldn't get that bad that quick, is what I said. And just like that, it happened, and I had to get back. It was scary. It was like all hands on deck. So what I did was I hopped up. First thing I did was I looked at the flights. What's the first flight I can get back to the States? Because I know it's just going to get crazier and crazier as things move forward. So I got the first flight into DFW. Got that flight booked. I looked at my watch. I had like 5-6 hours before the flight left. I was like, perfect, cool, got plenty of time. So I went, took a shower. After I took the shower, I hopped in, I got all my clothes together, brushed my teeth, got everything going, packed my bags, and then I went to the airport. But, so, things that I messed up on. When I went to the airport, I should have went ahead and got a taxi, but I rode the public transit, which probably took an extra 45 minutes to get there. So when I got there, it was like right at 3 hours before my flight was supposed to leave. When I got there, it looked like a war scene. It was crazy. And now also to mention, when I left the hostel, there was people just pouring out of every nook and cranny. Not really pouring out, but all of them were Americans. I hadn't met another American since I'd been staying in Barcelona. As soon as I hit the streets, you could see people walking up and down the street, and everyone you met was American because they were all trying to get home. Everyone got the calls from the family, said it's time to leave. So, gets to the airport, and lo and behold, it's completely packed. There is people everywhere. There is lines that will be 3 to 4 hours long just to get up to the desk. There's no one in any authority that is trying to help, answer any questions, make the process a little bit easier. There is nothing going on. So we're around all these people. Everyone's just trying to get home. No one knows if they're going to be able to get into flights. Machines are stopping, or machines have stopped working. Okay, they're being overloaded. The flights are being overbooked. Everything was just crashing, and no one to help. However, there was 98% of Americans in the airport. And because of that, everyone kind of felt like we were in the same boat together because we all just want to get home. We all just want to get safe. We all don't know anything. We're all in this line together. And it got to the point where it was like, if I'm in line and my flight leaves at, I think my flight left at like 6:40, and the person in front of me's flight left at 9, they would let me ahead of them. Kind of shuffle it out so that if you needed to make your flight, you would make your flight. Huge things were happening. Like I've never seen that happen before in my life. At one point while we were waiting in line, a young lady comes up to me and she's asking me all the same questions that I have. Where can we get our tickets? Are we going to be able to get on the flight? It leaves in 4 hours, and I still don't think I'll be able to make it. A lot of anxiety and a lot of stress from everyone, not just her, but especially from her coming toward me. And she looks at me and she goes, am I going to be able to take my bags on the flight if I get my ticket from the mobile booth, if I can't check my bags? And I was like, look, at this point, with everything going on, we don't know what's happening, the best move is just to say, I don't need these bags. It's better for me to get back to the States, and then we'll take care about recovering all that stuff later. Once I got through their TSA and got back to all the gates, it was a whole nother world. It was it felt empty because there wasn't all the flights that were going back to all the gates weren't being used to go straight back to the U.S. So I had to get on a flight from Barcelona, Spain, over to Frankfurt, Germany. I had like a 50-minute window to find my next gate to get on the flight back to the States. So it was like a 2-hour flight from Frankfurt to Spain. And from the point of me waking up at 2 a.m. in Barcelona time, and I don't know how many hours actually passed through. So let's say like 2 a.m. Barcelona time to getting on the plane 3, 4, like 8 hours later on the plane to DFW, my adrenaline was pumping because if I'd missed any of those planes, I would have been really, really in a bad place. People were getting flights booked that weren't guaranteed that you'd get back. Prices were skyrocketing. It was intense. It was really, really intense. Now, I didn't really rest until the flight back from Frankfurt to DFW. My adrenaline was pumping so much, I really just couldn't go to sleep. Because if I'd missed anything up to that point, game over. I mean, my transition in Barcelona, not in Barcelona, in Frankfurt, on my flight to DFW was a slim window. I didn't know how big the airport was. I don't speak German, so I was pumping and pumping and pumping until that point when I got on the flight to DFW. I got on that flight, and at that point, everyone's just happy to be going home. That's the first flight coming back home. So everyone's just relaxed. They feel better. You can see everyone's stress is a little high, but not too bad. I actually sat with in between these two guys that knew each other, and we had a great time. I mean, we drank, we ate, we just slept all the way back home. When I landed in DFW, the game plan was for my brother to come pick me up because he was visiting my other brother in Texas. So he would just pick me up. I'd spend my time in Texas with my brother, my granddad, my aunts, my uncles. Everything would be cool, and then I'd head back home. From the time that I left Frankfurt and arrived in DFW, my aunts and uncles and granddad, that are all a lot older and do have comorbidities, and they have a lot of health concerns and health issues, they decided they didn't want me to stay there with them because I just came back from Spain. At the time, I was like, you could have told me ahead of time. But I get it. You know, you start thinking clearly and you start thinking about what's really important, safety. So they basically said, like, you don't have anywhere to stay. I was like, okay, cool. So I got into DFW, and then I had to get another flight back to Memphis. Getting the flight back to Memphis wasn't too bad, no big deal. My uncle back in town didn't even want to be around me. He didn't want to pick me up from the airport. So I got another friend to go pick me up from the airport to take me to my uncle's house, where my car is, to get my car, to come back home, to finally go to sleep. To actually rest. So, since I've been back, I've been in home quarantine for I don't know how many days, honestly. I think today is actually day 7 of home quarantine. Which the first like 2 or 3 days, I didn't even really notice it at all. I was tired from being in Europe. My apartment was a mess. And then I had to figure out what I had to do back to work. So I had things to do for the first 3 days. The first 3 days didn't even really feel like quarantine because I had stuff to do. After that point, it starts to feel really, really isolating. Which, I mean, it is isolation for a reason. Uh, I've been doing hobbies. I actually am doing these videos because of this quarantine. I am taking it very seriously. I am. Uh, I don't want to be part of the problem. I can't be a part of the solution. I can't go back to work right now, but I definitely don't want to spread it out into the community and then it eventually get back to like my mom and my grandparents. I am taking it seriously. Luckily, I've got friends and family that are supporting me. They'll grab me stuff from the stores so I don't have to go and expose 100 people to maybe me. I'm asymptomatic, no fever, no shortness of breath, no cough, nothing like that. But I still don't want to be the reason for it. Because I am a perfect carrier for it. I'm 24. I use public transit. I stayed in group housing, which is the hostels. Uh, I would be the perfect person to go to it in all those countries I visited, level 3 now, to go get it and bring it back. That's what I would be afraid of. That's what I am afraid of, and that's why I'm taking the home quarantine so seriously. So, moving forward, I think I'm going to continue doing these videos and see how it works out. I hope everyone enjoys them. Share them, comment, let me know if there's anyone actually watching these. Let's see. Thank you.